We are here today bringing to you our book to movie adaptation of
The Good Shepherd
is the book and Greyhound is the movie.
Yes.
Greyhound was directed by Aaron Schneider. The screenplay was actually by Tom Hanks, who also played the main character. And the author was C.S. Forrester.
Okay. Y'all ready to talk about this book? Oh my God.
Okay.
Oh, what are we drinking?
Today, I am opening a bottle of Proud Pour, Save the Ocean. So every purchase of this bottle goes towards saving the oysters. And it actually comes with a little shell on it. It's really, really cute. It is a Sauvignon Blanc.
Ooh, she pronounced it right and she wants the credit for it.
And it's very, very tasty. Very tasty.
All right.
Now let's go ahead and get started on the book, y'all. To the book, y'all. To the book, to the book, to the book, y'all.
Okay, I have so much to say about this book. I mean, it was just so horrible.
I agree.
I just want to know who picked it. Rhea?
It could have been me. I don't know.
Lynn?
Oh, it was a combination between Rhea and I. It was on the list as like a potential read. And then with COVID and the movie theater shutting down, it was like, oh, let's take it off. And then they put it on Apple TV, and Rhea was like, hey, add to the list. Boom.
So, Lynn, I hear a slight echo with you. Do you have your voice coming in?
Yeah, I don't know why.
Okay.
I don't have any other cameras like Rhea got a whole setup. I don't know why mine's doing
Oh,
it.
it actually just stopped. So, did you do something?
I touched nothing.
Oh, I don't know what it is. Maybe Rhea did something because Rhea's causing it. But
All right.
what's happening? All I'm saying is that was the worst book ever. I read the book and then reread it. It took me 3, maybe 4 weeks to complete it because it was so horrible. And once I completed it, I could tell you a couple of things that happened in the storyline, like the fact that he had breakfast brought to him every morning, that there was some kind of war going on, and that his feet hurt.
Not just World War II, but some kind of war.
I did not know anything else that was going on in that horrible book.
For me, I
And
kept rethinking in my head, it's a World War II story. It's a World War II story. Because was horrible. I agree, Treva. But I kept having to remind myself that it's not going to be any like climax and peaks and whatnot. It's about World War II. So it was terrible, but I kept it in my mind.
there are lots of World War II books and movies out there that have climaxes and that are interesting, and that I can tell you what the story is about after I read them.
Yeah.
This was some garbage.
So,
Books like that will make me quit this podcast.
That's the main thing I wrote on my list. I have to read another one of these, you guys. Putting in my 2 weeks.
Right.
so I would just say that I feel the book was very well written. If this was a topic you were interested in, I think for me, I really had no interest in it. However, I was able to follow along with it to the point where I knew exactly what was going on after I got past about chapter 5. I could catch on, but it's, you're on a ship and you're really just calling out different commands. And so it's repetitive. And so I think that just hearing the same command said over, and captain, and this, and this, and that, I think for somebody who's interested in that and understands it really well, it would be probably a very good read.
I had to pause and like Google some of like the terminology, so I felt like I wasn't just reading like redundancy.
Yes.
And it didn't really help, but I thought it would, but it didn't really help. But then I just got even more like.
So you wasted even more of your time, but go ahead.
I was like, he would say a command, and then I get why they repeat it back just to make sure they've heard everything correctly. But to constantly hear like, general station, general station, general station, yes, captain, yes, sir. I was like, oh my god, I feel like the most redundancy repeated thing ever.
Which I actually listened to this book, and I feel like, Rhea, the reason that I feel that you were able to keep up too is because, you know, I dozed off on a couple of chapters, and when I woke up, it was the same chapter, but a different chapter. So it all, like you said, it's so repetitive. I was like, oh, did I miss anything?
Nope.
Yeah, all of it, basically. But yeah, it was the same chapter for 29 chapters, pretty much, for me.
It was just horrible. It was so horrible for me.
I'm glad the story was told because like you don't hear about the Allied forces that much in World War II. It's more like the I guess the enemy, how they battle. So I'm glad they told like an Allied story. I'm not glad I read it, but I'm glad it's out there for like the world to know.
So I agree, it was a great story, and I couldn't even appreciate this whole Allied concept that you're talking about until I watched the movie because I had no idea what was going on in the book. I didn't even know it was Allies out there. I didn't know anything.
And there was some ships because they weren't just our ships as the U.S. It was all the Allies together coming together against like Germany, basically.
Yeah. No, I get it after watching the movie.
No, I'm saying like the movie from the book. I got that. I didn't get much. I got the same thing you said: feet hurting, the same redundancy of like the calls, and they didn't want to eat.
Right.
Is what I got.
And then that somebody had gotten into a fight, so he was upset that he had to deal with somebody on the boat that was causing some ruckus. Like I got that too.
Yeah. However, you know, for me, as one of the people who selected this book, which really I selected the book because I saw like the movie was going to be so cool and I love Tom Hanks, so that made me be like, I want to be that. But I think too, you know, the importance of number one, getting the right call and moving quickly when you do those calls. Like seriously, they need to talk quickly and spit it out because seconds can cause a crash. You know, seconds can cause a torpedo to hit. So how freaking intelligent you really have to be the captain of a ship and strategic. I think that got to me really, really good. So that's what I liked.
All those lives are in your hands, basically.
Yeah.
Which again, I didn't realize they were all in his hands until I watched the movie.
Basically. And normally when I listen to a devastating book, for me, devastating, not the people in the book. For me, it was devastating listening to it. For me, usually I fall asleep, and I couldn't even get to sleep with this book. I don't understand. I couldn't even fall asleep. I had to sit up and try.
That's because you were so worried about who was going to win the war.
No.
I didn't even know what
she actually was having doubts about her ability to comprehend reading this book because this book made me, you know, have second thoughts about my intelligence.
Oh my God. I swear to you.
I mean, I hope she knew who won the war. I
don't know, Lynn, because remember, they didn't even realize it was a war.
Story.
No, they didn't realize what war it was, so they didn't know.
Touche.
So the movie,
well, we actually won all of them. So.
Yeah, we did.
So it doesn't matter. I thought the guy died at the end of the movie reading the book. I did too. But I watched the movie and he's not dead. I thought he was dead in the book.
He just went to sleep in the movie. In the book, it seems like he died.
No, he just, went unconscious. He was that tired.
He was awake for like 72 hours straight.
I think the actual words in the book was, I went unconscious.
Didn't get that.
So to me, that's, I died.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's because I was slowly dying reading it.
Like I could feel his pain, so I was like, yeah, okay. I feel you.
Like me.
Horrible.
Captain Krause, I feel you. Like I died too.
Right, basically.
Okay, I think you guys have beat this book up enough. Do we want to talk about the movie and then maybe the casting?
So for the movie, for me, it kind of felt the same way. So I put the subtitles on so I could actually like, because some of the commands were like going back really fast. So I put the subtitles on, and I was like, I'm kind of thankful they did. But then I kind of got mad that I was reading the same sentence twice because they kept repeating everything. So I took them back off. But I didn't like how. Because I mean, like the book, you can kind of imagine like battling at sea, but like I mean, I've been on a cruise, but never like turning a whole warship. And how they were maneuvering warships, like literally on like their side because they're trying to miss a torpedo. I didn't even know ships could do that. So for me, it made it more interesting because of the graphics that the movie brought to it. Because
Yay!
Without the graphics, none of that, I would be like, yep, same book, same movie. But I'm glad that they added all those graphics in.
Well, I do feel like the movie followed the storyline of the book because a couple of things that I did pick up on the book when I saw it on the movie, I was like, oh, I remember him saying that. But
When I tell you she did exactly that, oh, yeah, I did remember that in the book. I'm like, really? Really?
yeah, that was like, 3 scenes maybe. But, it was equally as boring, but at least I understood what was going on. I would say Tom Hanks probably nailed that role. He made it as boring as the book. But
I mean,
I don't know. I got nothing to say.
Well, for me, the movie was maybe an hour and 30 minutes, and it was also an hour and 30 minutes too long. So I'm sorry. I love Tom Hanks, though, and I'm always going to be a fan. And he did make this book or movie just as equal as the book, just as boring.
He made it bearable, though.
Yeah.
Right? Kind of. But
Anything else you want to add, Lynn?
the book matched the movie, or the movie matched the book, so I'm happy about that. But it helped me actually understand the book more. I still am not glad I wasted an hour and a half of my life on that. But I do appreciate that the movie and the graphics and the ship, I kind of understand better how a ship is run, I guess, like the hierarchy. Because I was always wondering, like, how a ship would battle, like, a submarine. One's above water, one's below. And I think they kind of gave that, like, physics lesson, too, which is nothing about the storyline. It's all about, like, how ships actually sail and whatnot.
That's okay.
Well, because the storyline was so bad, that's what you had to focus on. Continue.
Precisely. But
one thing that I actually was kind of fascinated by was, how everyone on the ship actually had a job. Like, I always thought, okay, if you're the cook, that's what you do. You cook, you don't do anything else. But, after reading the book, watching the movie, and then doing more research, yeah, everyone kind of has 2 jobs. So there are your highly technical trained folks, and then you also have folks that are maybe not as specialized, but like they still have to be able to they all have to know the ship. They all have to know what the ship does. And so regardless of what your job is, you still have to operate something on the ship because they only have a certain number of people that are allowed on there. It's like 25 or something. And some have dual roles, but they all have a role when it comes to operating the ship. So I thought that was interesting. So there.
So if I was to pick out one thing that I found interesting in the movie, I would say I thought it was interesting the way everybody on that boat was so young. Like everybody looked like a baby, but yet they were carrying out these commands and demands and all this life-threatening stuff. And they were doing it and not really panicking, So that was pretty impressive because when you think about when people typically go off to the military, they're 18, so they are so young. So I don't know if that accurately reflects what goes on in real life on a ship and in war, but it put into perspective to me how young people are doing these really brave things.
Very good observation, Treva. Yes, they're very young. And going in, you don't know whether you're going to be, when you join, you don't know if you're going to be just kind of chilling doing nothing or thrown into a war. And I feel the same way, is that until they saw that the ships being sank, then you could see it on their faces, like reality hit them. Like, oh shit, this is real. And then they kind of watched the captain, and although he might have been a little nervous at times, it was like he had to really keep himself under control, because there's only 2 of them on there that were the most senior folks, and they had to keep it under control to help the rest of them survive. But how did you guys like, sometimes it reminds me of just everyday work. When in the end they saved everyone, but yet they were told, hey, you go back and kind of usher the ships back because that's your job. You don't get to bring them on in, even though you saved all of these ships. So it's kind of like, other people kind of are almost taking the credit for what you actually spent all this time doing. But in the end, it showed the actual sailors on those ships, like screaming and yelling and congratulating, and thanking them for everything they did. So they did get the thank you, and people will know anyway, because the people that survived. But it just, when I saw that scene, I kind of just stepped back and was like, yeah, that doesn't change much. It seems, no matter what you're doing in life, sometimes you might put in so much effort, but somebody else kind of reels it on in and kind of gets the hurrah at the end of the day.
Yeah, I definitely felt that towards the end he even said, like, you sure? I'd like to stay, like, with the convoy. And he was like, no, just go ahead and meet us in Londonderry, like, go to Derry. And he was like, all right, higher up, had to go. And I kind of felt bad. I was like, you literally saved, like, there was hundreds of thousands that died, but, like, you saved thousands of men. And you just gonna be like, go take a nap? That's your big hurrah. Like, okay.
Like, that was your job, and you did it well, but now we're going to take them on in. And, of course, when they get in, they'll get the big old celebration and everything that comes with it. But, the sailors knew. They'll know that, as the show showed, this wasn't true as far as what happened, but it was depictions of what really happened. So I found that interesting.
I missed all of that. I really just don't have any reference.
What you can do is just go back and rewatch it, both of you, and maybe you'll get it.
I will jump off the roof of this house.
Put a gun to my head and then pull the trigger. That ain't happening.
So, do we want to rate this movie or book or
for casting? I'm gonna mention one.
Oh yeah, casting.
So of course, everybody loves Tom Hanks, and I love Elizabeth Shue. She's in a bunch of different type of movies. I love her character in the beginning. Still the love interest, fine, but all the different sailors that were there. I noticed Tom Hanks's second son was in it. Chet.
Was he? Who was he?
Him, yeah.
He had like a quick scene. I forgot his name was like Burknell. I don't have it right here actually. He was Bushnell. I don't really know the significance.
Was he the one that was that couldn't get that sneezed or something?
Maybe.
Because there was somebody that sneezed
and
they
remember every scene because every scene was just the same. But I do remember seeing his face and I was like, oh, Chet's in this. Because Chet's only been in a few things and he's kind of like the rebel son of Tom Hanks, the one that put like a rap song out and stuff. So yeah, I knew who he was and I was like, oh, his son's in here. Get a little bit of credit. I like that.
Mm-hmm. I gotta pull him up so I can see who he was.
You guys ever seen Shameless?
Yeah.
So, are you current on it, I guess you should say?
Oh, yeah. No, I watch that real time.
I see him on the news all the time.
So, when Lip is dating the black girl with a kid, her baby daddy got the black girl pregnant and was, like, lying to her about it. Mm-hmm. That's...
Oh, okay.
In Shameless.
Well, he doesn't even have credits in the movie. Gosh, Tom.
I mean, he's third on the list down on IMDb, so.
Dang it!
His son. That's pretty cool.
It is cool. Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. That was just a reflection of the book and movie, not.
Come on, Treva. Seriously.
Are we ready to rate this?
Yes.
So it pains me to give this a full glass, but the movie was a great adaptation of the book. Just everything else was just horrible. But I have to give it a full glass if it's based on the adaptation.
I also will give it a full glass. You can read and watch this at your own risk. But I do give it a full glass because, yeah, it was a snoozer on both ends. So read at your own risk. We won.
I give it a full glass also. It was just as boring as the adaptation. But so I gotta get a full glass also.
So I am definitely giving it a full glass, and now I see Chet 1, 2, 3, 4 times on the screen, and this was when he went out to verify whether or not he had sunk anything. I remember this, so full glass
if
for me.
Anyone cares? I'm sorry. What was that, man?
Full glass from me. There he is.
Okay. So
Full glass for
listen,
me.
podcast listeners, fans. This book is only getting a full glass because the movie is a perfect adaptation of the book. Don't go read it and don't go see the movie.
Unless you're a fan of war and ships and things like that, because if you are, you will love it. You will love it.
My friend's son is a big World War II fanatic with history, so I recommend it for her to watch with her son. He's old enough to understand, but he would love it. Me, I would be asleep with a glass more, but he would love it.
So Treva and I sat down and watched it. Well, I had already watched it, but I watched it the second time with Treva and the old hubby, who was
he was glued to that TV.
Now, let me just point out, the music got you like that. I feel, because I kept looking like, what happened?
No, he was into every command, every single command, and I told him, I said, "You really into it."
But he's military too, so
yeah, he was very excited. So I think military folks would probably enjoy it.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah.
All right.
Okay, great. Listen, check us out on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube.
Watch Wine, YouTube, and
W. Wait a minute, let her say the WW. Say it, Penny. Say it, girl.
www.rewatchwine.com.
All right, so be on the lookout. We are going to post our upcoming season for next year, 2021. We want y'all to read the books and keep up with us. So be on the lookout for that listing, and looking forward to reading with you again. So what's coming up next, you guys? Should we talk about what's coming up next or no?
The
Lovecraft. That's right.
Lovecraft, yes. Country.
Yes. Read the book. I have not started the series yet. I've just not finished the book, but check it out because we would love some feedback on that.
So good. And please pay attention. Stay on our website. We're going to have events happening. We're going to have a lot going on in 2021. You don't want to miss it. You want to sign up, get your money right so you can travel with us. And, stay safe. Wear your mask. Wear your mask. Wear your mask.
Bye.